Welcome back. Today, we're pulling back the curtain on arguably one of the most fascinating technological leaps of our lifetime. If you've ever typed a prompt into ChatGPT and watch it just instantly spit out this perfectly structured, incredibly detailed answer, you've probably felt that little spark of awe. It literally feels like magic, right? But today, we're going to break down exactly how that magic actually works. Okay, let's dive into this explainer and uncover the underlying mechanics of ChatGPT.
Because it's the big question, isn't it? It's the question on absolutely everyone's mind when they first boot it up. Does ChatGPT actually think? When you're interacting with it, it creates this incredibly convincing illusion. It feels like there's this absolute genius in a box, just sitting somewhere in a dark server room, pondering your prompt, forming a real opinion, and carefully writing it down for you. But the reality? Well, it's far more mechanical. And honestly, I think it's even more fascinating once you really get it. We have to ask ourselves, does it truly understand the concepts we're discussing or feel them the way you or I do?
Which brings us to Section 1, the ultimate guessing game. To answer whether it's actually thinking, we've got to strip away that illusion and look at the core concept driving this AI.
Think about machine learning sort of like training a puppy using data. If we run with that, ChatGPT is essentially a puppy that has somehow read the entire internet. But, and this is absolutely crucial, it didn't read it to form beliefs or to gain some deep worldly wisdom. No, it read the internet simply to become the undisputed grandmaster of the world's absolute biggest game of fill in the blank. At its core, ChatGPT doesn't think, it doesn't feel. It operates on a deceptively simple yet mathematically rigorous rule. It just guesses the very next word. That's it. That is its entire foundational purpose, just guessing the next blank space.
Let's move to Section 2, a supercharged autocomplete, and see how this builds into something that feels so incredibly conversational and human. And this brilliantly illustrates the massive leap in scale we're talking about here. Look at the standard phone autocomplete. You're texting, you type, "I'm on my," and that little box above your keyboard just suggests, "way." Right? It's simple. It's just looking at the last couple of words you typed. But now, compare that to the superhuman scale of ChatGPT. It works exactly the same way, but instead of just looking at your last two words, it looks at the entire history of your prompt, the exact context, and calculates a wildly complex list of percentages for what logically comes next. So if you're asking about, say, biology, it chooses a word like powerhouse because it hasn't just looked at your sentence. It's scanned literally billions of pages of text and seen that exact sequence of words repeated in biology textbooks over and over again. It's calculating percentages, folks. It's not having a sudden epiphany.
Section 3, one word at a time. Now this brings up a really good point about the mechanical pacing of the AI.
Because if it's really just guessing one single word at a time, how on earth does it write a complex 500-word essay for you in mere seconds? Well, the answer happens at blistering speed. It isn't writing the essay in its head and then pasting it to your screen all at once. No, it's a bricklayer meticulously placing one brick at a time. Here is the exact loop. First, it reads your prompt. Second, it predicts the very first word. Third, it takes your original prompt plus that brand new first word, loops it completely back into its math brain, and predicts the second word. Then, step 4, it takes the prompt plus word 1 plus word 2, loops the whole shebang back again, and predicts word 3. This lightning-fast mathematical loop is happening thousands and thousands of times a minute. Loop, predict, loop, predict. It's just laying word after word until its math hits a hidden underlying marker that basically tells the system, stop, the thought is finished.
Moving on to Section 4, the magic of attention. So here's the catch, right? If it's only ever guessing the next word, constantly churning through this loop, how in the world does it stay on topic?
Older AI models used to just completely fall apart halfway through a paragraph because it would literally forget how the sentence started. So how did ChatGPT fix this? Well, the secret sauce is the attention mechanism. ChatGPT completely solved the memory problem using a massive breakthrough technology called a transformer, which, by the way, is exactly what the T in GPT stands for. Inside this transformer is a tool called attention. You could think of attention as a dynamic mathematical radar. As the AI is predicting that next word, this radar allows it to look back at every single word in your prompt simultaneously, which keeps the context perfectly alive in its system.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is how beautifully this radar actually works in action. Let's look at the word bank in these two sentences. The river was rising, so I walked up the bank, versus the stock market crashed, so I ran to the bank. Because of the attention mechanism, when the AI is trying to predict the words after bank, its mathematical radar immediately lights up. It connects back to the anchor words earlier in the sentence, either river or stock market. It uses those specific anchor words to make absolutely sure its next guess fits the exact right vibe and meaning. It's literally mathematically tying the end of the sentence back to the beginning.
Which brings us to Section 5, the human touch.
Okay, so we've got a supercharged autocomplete that uses a mathematical radar to stay on topic. But if it learned from the whole internet, why doesn't it sound like the absolute worst parts of the internet?
I mean, think about it. If ChatGPT only used the raw internet data, that chaotic blender of Wikipedia articles, endless cooking blogs, and just angry social media comments, it would be a total nightmare to talk to. It would be confusing, chaotic, and probably super rude. So to fix this, AI engineers added an absolutely crucial element: human feedback. Real humans sat down, reviewed thousands and thousands of the AI's guesses, and rated them. They explicitly told the system, hey, this response is helpful, or whoa, this response is rude. And based on those human ratings, the AI adjusted its internal settings. It essentially learned to mimic the polite, helpful tone of a human assistant, completely filtering out the chaos of the raw internet.
So the crucial point is this. Behind the helpful assistant, behind the essays and the complex coding and all that fun conversational banter, it is all just a highly advanced math equation predicting the next word. It's an illusion of consciousness created by massive scale and just brilliant engineering. But, knowing that it's math, that doesn't make it less impressive. I think it makes it a tool that we can actually understand and, more importantly, control.
Which leaves us with this final thought. If we know for a fact that ChatGPT is just a mathematical engine designed to guess the next word based on the context it's given, how does that change the way we talk to it? How does it feel to know you're basically steering a giant math equation? This brings us to the exciting art of prompt engineering, the skill of asking the AI questions in precise ways to control those exact guesses and get the absolute best possible results. Would you like to see how that works next? Definitely keep this explainer's concepts in mind the next time you type into that little text box. Until next time, stay curious and keep learning.